Good morning. Good morning. Maggie here with my dear friend Darla.
Hello.
I am so excited this morning. I just want to encourage you guys that you need to get this out to your friends. You need to share this on your timeline because Darla has an amazing testimony, and it's a great testimony, but we're only going to be able to share snippets because I'm going to have her back at another time to go a little bit farther, a little bit deeper, because I really want to spend some time today talking about the great things that the Lord is doing through her and her husband, Michael. So welcome to Keys to Your Best Life. My name is Maggie Cavanaugh. I am your host today, and we are going to be interacting with each other, but we will go back and answer all the questions, comments in the chat stream. This is via live on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and just about anywhere that somebody sends it to. So we're all over the place this morning. Yes, send it. Like it, share it, comment, and we will definitely get back to those. So I want to thank you, Darla, for being here today.
Oh, thank you for asking me.
I was so excited to get to interview you because I met Darla in 2018. I met her because her husband was the keynote speaker at the Recovery Fest in 2018 at Rutherford County. And so I was super impressed with her as a person. I thought she is so cool. I love her. And so with that, yes, I love her. Hey, Stephanie, thanks for logging on. But she's got a great story. And so I just want to tell you that sometimes you meet people and you're like, oh, they're so cool. I really like them. And other times you meet people and you're like, oh, God has sent them here. I am so glad they're here, and so forth. And so we've had the opportunity to get to know her and Michael, and we are just so impressed with what they're doing. So without any further ado, why don't you tell us, because you just relocated here, why don't you tell us what brought you here? Because Steer Straight, which is a 501c3, and Michael goes in, and I know he speaks to the schools a little bit. Why don't you share a little bit with the audience about what Steer Straight is?
So Steer Straight is a nonprofit, like you said. We go into schools and educate youth about choices and consequences behind drugs, bullying, gangs, abuse, vaping, e-cigarettes, and the challenges that come with that wreck your life, because we've experienced that firsthand. So the students get to hear the real truth behind what they're being targeted with, what's coming down the pike for them, and the parents can also hear solutions, to combat the things that they say, the things that they do. Educators can also have solutions for the classroom, so they'll be able to teach.
I love that. We have got to equip the kids.
Absolutely.
And it is so important to get them. Now, what is the youngest? I know he goes into the high schools, but what is the youngest audience that y'all have had with Steer Straight?
So we relocated from New Jersey down to Tennessee because this is God's country.
Yes.
This is God's country.
So buckle on the Bible belt.
Yes. And this is where for 5 years he's told me that I am going to be. I don't know what the purpose is yet, but he's got the lead. So when we came down here, we were engaged with a couple of different people. Someone who had lost their son to addiction. Yes. Another lady over in Williamson who had lost her son to addiction. But God pulled me here, and he, every year he kept saying, you have to be here, you have to be here. So it was a challenge. It was definitely a challenge.
Well, I'm glad you were obedient. So, and now you have a office in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Yeah, right on the square.
So, yes, right in the smack dab in the middle of everything that you can find. And I know recently you made some changes because you started a thrift store to support the 501c3.
Yes, there's in this country, there are schools, maybe they're called Title I, or they're very rural, small schools who don't have funding to bring in assemblies for students, believe it or not. Can you believe that? So they don't get any education on drugs, on suicide, on bullying, on any of the social media, on any of those things. So our thrift store helps us fund that, to be able to take our speakers, pay their food, pay their travel expense, so that they can go and get that message out to our youth.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, I know one thing for sure is that we need more educational resources.
Sure.
And if we cannot go and do it ourselves, we need to send those, and we need to support things. So what are the hours of the thrift store, and exactly what is the address? So if someone right now got off this broadcast, what are the hours there, and how can they find it?
So we are located at 610 West College Street. Suite 125. There's a big sign out there that says, "Hey, there's a thrift store here." And we are open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. We are closed on Sunday to celebrate Jesus. So,
Yay, that's good. That's really good. So in addition to Steer Straight, you've been working on your master's.
Yes.
How's that going?
It's going.
Yeah.
I am at Liberty University. I love it. I love the spirit of Jesus that surrounds everything that they do. It is where I'm supposed to be. I love what you do because you counsel marriages and you counsel individuals. And I know through my internship that I did last year that is where God wants me.
It's
that's
important.
Truly where God wants me.
It is needed. And I'm glad he's bringing you into it because he's kind of transitioned me out of it a little bit. Not so much. I mean, if God tells me to take clients, I take clients. But, he's got me doing some other things. So it's, different. But he is calling people to help other people because people are hurting. And hurting people hurt people. Absolutely. And we need to be available. And the Bible says that out of the multitude of counselors, there's safety, there's encouragement. Yeah. I firmly believe that counseling should be a requirement of life. I think anybody and everybody needs it. I know when I need to see a counselor, I'll see a counselor. I do not play when it comes to my emotional state.
For sure.
It is so important, y'all. It's so important. And, counseling and coaching and things to help people go in the right direction. I'm so excited. Yeah, and so are you going to be practicing out of the location where you're at now, where the thrift store is?
That is
office there?
Yeah, that's the plan right now. Whatever God sees fit to make open at a later date. But, during the day, my focus is our youth and their parents and the community, so
I love
that's
that.
What we're doing.
And that's why we jive so well together is we both are encouraged by that big time. So I would also like to comment on the fact that you mentioned the kids need to hear this because, you've been through it. Yeah. So give us your, and I know, listen, the story is so amazing between her and Michael. It's like, I feel like between the two of us, we could do that whole Lifetime TV thing for weeks and weeks.
TV and here we come.
Yeah. I mean, it's like kind of, I'm going after this in a little while to go do a God story. And they're like, can you do it in 5 minutes? And I'm like, not today. Not certain God stories I can, but certain ones I can't. Testimonially, just give us maybe the mini version of how you and Michael got your freedom. And we know that whenever you get freedom in an area, it gives you more authority in that area to minister to people. So when she's talking about reaching the families and the destructive behavior, she knows firsthand. So Darla, tell the audience about what you went through and your freedom walk.
Sure. So as a kid, I grew up with an alcoholic father. And actually, yesterday was 10 years that we buried my father. Wow. He died from alcoholism. Yes, and alcohol still kills people every single day, all day. Yes. As such, I grew up with a low self-esteem, low self-worth because, but Daddy calls me princess, and why can't Daddy stop? Because he loves me so much that he just can't stop drinking. So I struggled with that a lot. I was bullied in school. So I met my husband, and all the bells and whistles went off. That's true. There is love at first sight. So that's true. But he had struggled a lot with cocaine, crack cocaine specifically. There are other drugs, but crack cocaine, and drew me into that. And on the 14th, which is my birthday, in 2 days, I'll be 15 years clean. So.
15 years, y'all. Recovery happens. Recovery happens right here.
All day, every day. There is hope. There is hope.
Yes. And yesterday is kind of unique that I'm interviewing you today and then Kevin Folds because you both got restoration stories about hope. And yesterday was Tennessee's Day of Hope. Yeah. And the celebration of, people always think you're always going to be like that.
Yeah.
And
you're not. You can recover.
Yes, you can recover. Recovery is possible. And it comes in different ways. And just because we recover some way might not be the way that you recover. But I'm telling you what, I know I would have never made it through my own walk years ago if it wasn't for the breakthrough with Jesus.
Oh my gosh. I had an encounter with Jesus while I was incarcerated for a 9-month time frame.
Wow.
At the last of it, I had an encounter with Jesus that gives me chills as I speak, and I'll never forget it. It's
Share a little bit about that. I know the viewers would like to know.
Well, so I'm incarcerated for 9 months, 3 months in 3 different jails, right? And the last one, I'd only, when I went in, it was in summertime, had jeans and flip-flops on in New Jersey. And the last of it, it was in February, March, and April of 2001. And God was really working on me, and I had only thing I had taken with me that whole time was the Bible that my grandmother had given me.
Oh.
That was my treasure. And so I just had gone into my cell, didn't come out for breakfast, didn't come out for lunch, and I was just reading the Bible. I started in John, and I was just reading the Bible, and I got so frustrated. Like, I'm reading this, I'm like, God, do you even hear me? I grew up in church as a kid, in church, every time the doors was open, we were there. So, I'm like, God, do you hear me? Are you understanding? Do you hear me? Why am I here? How did I end up here? My mother always said that I was anointed, that I was highly favored. How did I end up here? So I slammed that Bible shut and I threw it on the floor. Yes, girl. Yes. So, and so I had been having problems with my back the whole time. How jail cots are not that great. But so I've been having a lot of pain in my back, and I was laying there and I was crying. God, do you hear me? Can you hear what? I don't even believe you're here with me. And so he made it a point. I heard this voice as loud as you and I are speaking right now.
Wow.
And he says to me, I want you to touch the top of your head with your finger. And I did that, and I'm like, I'm going crazy here. I think I'm going.
I'm in the jail cell too long.
I'm going crazy. And so he said, I want you to touch the middle of your back where it hurts you the most. I'm like, okay, I'll play. Then he says, I want you to touch both soles of your feet with that finger. I said, okay. As soon as I did that, and I laid over on my side because I couldn't lay flat on my back. When my hand went down like this, those warm blankets that they give you at the hospital when you're really cold?
Yes.
Those really nice. So I literally felt that from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet, like somebody had put a warm blanket completely around me. And where oh my gosh, where I had been able to, I had been so much pain, I hadn't been able to sleep. I instantly fell asleep. I'm getting chills as I speak. I fell asleep and was asleep. They had to wake me up the next morning.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. So listen, this is the other part of it. So while I was in there, I had been ROR'd, which is released on your own recognizances, right? And so I've been having some problems with this girl while I was in there. And so they had released me, but they didn't release me for a whole week. So that was like the day that this happened was a Sunday. Oh, wow. And so that whole next week, they didn't release me. And so the day when I came out of my cell after that happened, and the girl that I've been having problems with, so we're in this pod, it has a circle, right? And everybody has to come out, and you have to eat. So this girl comes walking, she gets in the middle of that circle, right? And she sees me, she's like, oh my God, I see Jesus coming out of you. She didn't even know what she said.
Wow.
And everything stopped. Like you could hear a pin drop. And everybody was like looking around, and she looked around everybody, and she went right back into her cell, did not come out.
Oh, wow.
So
an opposing spirit wasn't wanting to mess with Jesus.
I'm telling you. So then, like all that week, but they still didn't release me for 5 days. During that whole week, there was girls coming up to me. Can you read with the Bible? What does the Bible say about this? There was 3 girls who got saved in that pod. Other girls, we started a Bible study. They didn't have anything like that. God really used me in that whole five days.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes, it was.
Oh my
incredible.
Goodness,
yeah.
That is.
That's not the end of the story, but yeah,
when you're released on your own recognizances, they usually release you within 24 hours.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's a testimony that God, we don't always understand. She could have been like, "Hey, what's going on? I was supposed to have been released. I was supposed to be out there. God, what are you doing?"
And I was doing that,
but instead, she's like, "Okay, while I'm here, we are going to have this discussion, and we're going to get this Bible study started for the women that are coming."
But you know what? I didn't even have to do that. The people who were in the part that we were in said, "Hey, do you want to start a Bible study? Hey, can you do this?
I love it.
Can you do it?" Was
this a county jail? Yeah. Okay. So lots of stuff goes down county jail.
Burlington County, New Jersey.
Oh, I can only even imagine. So wow. So how did you end up in jail?
So because of my husband and I have been together a long time. And so when my husband started, he had relapsed and he started using again. Well, I didn't know it. And so for 3 or 4 weeks, I put my kids in front of him, like, if you love your kids, what's wrong with you? Why can't you stop? If you love me, you love me more than we had a great love. We have a great love. And so I couldn't stop. And so we were fighting all the stuff. And finally I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I give up. I want you to show me. If you love this so much more than you love me and our kids, I want you to show me why. And that was my biggest mistake. And so he did. He did. He had no choice. He did. And that started
your cycle.
That started us on a journey of about a 2-year time frame of shoplifting to support our habit, but over a $200 a day drug habit.
$200 a day.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It is a lot.
That's a lot. And so that started us on that journey. And all through that time, though, you know how when you're out of place and you're out of place?
Yeah.
That whole time, that's the way I felt. God convicted me every single time. Every single time he convicted me. And I had that spirit. And so I was never a good booster. So I got caught every time almost. So, hey, that's God's way of saying, hey, girl, that's not for you. I'm for you.
So his first go around, you were sober. You did not engage in any of that. After seeing, your father battle the addiction of alcohol, you were probably like that. But you were so weak. And I have found this over the years to be very common, that when someone is using and we think, okay, well, if I drink with my husband at home, he won't go to the bars. Or if I do drugs with him, then we're doing that together and I'll connect with them. And it doesn't work. It's worse.
Yeah. If you say, oh, I'll let my kids drink at home, it's fine. No, it's not.
No, it's not. It is that. And, that's very, very common. You can drink, but you got to do it right here.
That doesn't work.
It doesn't. It sets them up for a life of pain and discouragement and potentially incarceration. Yeah. I mean, my sister here, you heard her, 3 different jails, 9 months. She, spent that time. And then Michael went back for much longer.
Yeah.
Right?
So he was incarcerated for 5 years, came out, and then that's when we both got addicted and again. And then he went back for 7 more years. So he did 12 years of incarceration.
Wow. How long was he out between the 5 before he went back?
About a year and a half.
Wow. So, and how quickly did he fall after he came back out?
So we had a car accident about 10 months after he was out. He had a job. We had a house. I mean, everything was great. Going up to New Jersey. Going up the New Jersey Turnpike, a tractor trailer flipped over and flipped on top of our car. And Michael was trying to back up and popped his neck. And so he goes to the hospital and they put him on OxyContin, Mobic, Neurontin, Vioxx. Let me see, everything else. They put him on morphine, even though he told them he had a prior problem with addiction. And so what does someone who wants to self-medicate instead of taking something that makes them down, because Michael's an A-type person, he started, getting rid of that so he could get his cocaine.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is very, very common because everyone has like a drug of choice per se. There's that one thing that they'll do whatever. And, so if you're getting opiates and opiates are huge on the streets, then it's really easy to say, okay, I'll trade you this for that. And you get in that cycle. So, but look what the Lord has done.
I know.
Okay. So as a result of you getting all Jesus-fied, giving your life to the Lord, surrendering to the Lord and the will of the Lord, how much longer was it before Michael came into the kingdom and started really walking out his calling?
So 2012.
2012.
So he got out of jail. He got out of prison in 2007. So 2012. Now, I had started going to church again and started doing a lot of different things, and had moved down to South Jersey because Mike was incarcerated in South Jersey. And so I established our home down there and everything, and I had started going to church. And so we were having a lot of marriage problems. Sure. I mean, a lot of problems.
Sure. Once all that stuff is covered up, it all comes out. Yeah.
So as a last-ditch effort, I had gotten 2 tickets to see Casting Crowns at the Delaware State Fair. It was July of 2012. And I called my husband. I said, I'm going to go to this. I said, we got nosebleed seats, but I don't care. I really just want to go. I know who they are. And unbeknownst to me, a pastor friend of ours had given him a WOW CD. WOW CD, right?
Right. I remember the WOW CDs.
Right.
They were great.
And so he'd been listening to that. We love music. Everything we do is centered around music. So he'd been listening to this. And so I said, I'm going to this concert. I'd like for you to go with me. So he went. We're sitting in the nosebleed section, right? And it's Building 429, 10th Avenue North, and Casting Crowns, right?
Oh, wow.
And
what
so,
a lineup.
oh my gosh. So
that's a setup for Jesus.
Oh my gosh, how we did not know. So all on the way down, he likes country music. He knew I liked country music at that time, and so he had turned country music station on. So while we're there, where he's sitting up there, it's raining a little bit in between, right? And so this girl's walking up these nosebleed section seats, and she has this shirt on. It says, "Take this world and give me Jesus." And he sees that shirt. And he's like, "Oh, I like that shirt. I like it. Where'd you get that?" And she's like, "Well, there's a little merch thing over there on the side." I said, "Well, I'll go get it because I want a Jesus bracelet." Because she had on a bracelet, right? But, there's rubber bracelets all over.
Yeah.
So I go down there, and while I'm down there, 10th Avenue North had performed already, and in between, so Mark Hall and Casting Crowns was getting ready to go on when I was down there. So by the time I got up to the back up to the seat, the skies had opened up, and it had started pouring rain.
Wow!
But Mark Hall is standing out there, and he starts to sing, and he sings "Voice of Truth."
Oh wow!
And I'm coming up the steps, and I look at my husband, and this 6-foot man, about 280 pounds, is white as a ghost. He's sitting there and he is bawling. Oh. I mean, bawling. And he goes and he's like, "What's happening down there?" Because there's 15,000 people in this place, right? And they're all like this. They got their raincoats on, but some of them don't even care. It's pouring rain, and they're like, Mark Hall is standing in the rain. Like literally standing in the rain, singing. He's like, "What's going on down there?" I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "It's the Spirit of the Lord. God is in this place. I said, don't you feel that?" He's like, "I want that. Oh, I want that." And that still makes me cry. I said, "I want that." And so he sat down, didn't say anything the whole rest of the time. He's just absorbing everything. So it's still raining, and that's Delaware. Delaware, the water doesn't go anywhere, right? So it's still raining, and we left the concert after that, right? We're going up, and he had the country music station on, and what comes on? "Jesus Take Him" comes on the radio, and I said, "See," I said, "You're not driving. You gotta let Jesus drive." He had to pull off the side of the road, get out of the car in the pouring rain, and he was over in a field on his knees.
Hallelujah. You're gonna make me think. What a testimony! What a testimony! How powerful is that? And I know, because I met Michael, that it was a life transforming day.
Oh, sure.
He came in.
So he goes, when he does something, he goes full force. Yes. So from that point on, every concert, every Christian thing, he got seats for it. So the first one after that was Toby Mac in Philadelphia. It was like the Hits Tour, Matthew West, and Brandon Heath, and Britt Nicole. And man, I'm like,
he's going to all the contemporary Christian events.
So he's up there we're still in the nosebleed station. Like, I ain't doing this anymore. So from then on, we had VIP seats.
Gotcha.
For everything that came.
Yeah, because you were heavily involved in a ministry that had music and addictions combined, right?
Yeah.
So was that part of facilitating getting those great seats? Because I know you guys I know your house got autograph stuff and all of that.
Oh no! So from getting all of the VIP seats and meet and greets and all that stuff, we've gotten to meet and really get to know a lot of these wonderful artists, whether they're rap, whether they're Christian music, whether they're contemporary Christian music, whether they're hard rock like Seventh Day Slumber. Unbelievable people, and they have such hearts for people. Just that's all they want to do is to lead you to Jesus. So so from that we started promoting Christian music in New Jersey, and let me tell you. So our first one, we don't start short, like small. Our first one, God's Not Dead, had come out, and our first concert was the Newsboys.
Oh man!
With Seventh Time Down and another group, and it was crazy because as soon as it was a packed. I mean, like totally packed. The Newsboys hadn't been in New Jersey in many, many years. And so packed this place out. It was a cathedral type church, packed it out. From the moment that first note that Michael Tate sang, I literally felt the hold off of New Jersey lift. and the power of God swarmed in that place.
Mm.
There's nothing like, I'm standing on the side of the stage when they're singing "We Believe," and all these kids are up like this.
Hallelujah.
And I'm like, oh my God.
That song is such a declaration to the faith. It is.
Yeah,
we believe in God the Father. We believe in His Son.
Absolutely.
So all the Holy Spirit.
Of course. All these kids that come to
we're at church. Sorry, y'all. We're just, you're here with us.
Well, I mean, there was a lot of kids in the room because of the Newsboys, but Family Force 5 was also a part of the show, right? And everybody loved Family Force 5. I mean, they were phenomenal. So all these kids are there, and they had no idea what hit them. I mean, they're all up like this, and I'm sitting on the side of the station. I'm like, and I'm crying. I'm like, oh my God, this is it. This is my, this is what I'm meant to be. This is who I'm meant to be. This is what I'm meant to do, to lead people to you. So however I can do that for you, you just put me there.
Yes. And you've obediently been doing that. And I know that even in the jails, that you took some of this powerful music that you've seen and you intertwined it with recovery stuff. So let's talk about that.
Let's start about that. So Rutherford County Work Center allows me to come in and do a group for women specifically right now, but for women. So I take the 12 steps of recovery, right? That was based on the Beatitudes.
Yes.
And I take music and correspond that with the things that are in each step. So you take each step, it's called my 12-step playlist. So you take each step and you put 3 songs to it. A good song, a bad song, and a song that just makes you get up and get out of yourself, right? So you take 3 of those songs. It doesn't matter what they are, whether they're Christian, whether they're rap, whatever they are that are good for you. And that will create your 12-step playlist.
Nice.
So you always will have some type of a coping mechanism when you have nothing else.
That's good. That's really good.
It really
now,
works.
when you say a bad song, so is that
So for someone in recovery, my husband specifically, when he was using, he had this one song by Linkin Park that he would put on and play over and over. I mean, like hours, over and over again.
So that would trigger you.
Yes. So when I hear that takes me back immediately to that day.
You have to be careful of the triggers.
Right. So when I say you hear a bad song, so when you hear a bad song on the radio, then you go and take your good song, even a song that your mother sang to you as a child, that makes those endorphins come up and your dopamine levels come up.
Right.
And so that you're not in that dark place anymore.
Gotcha.
So it lifts you.
So you're taking and replacing that. Yes. It's like taking that toxic thing. It's like taking that Twinkie and throwing it down and saying, give me some kale. Yeah. I'm just saying, that's an analogy. Or something along those lines. Because listen, if you think for 1 minute that what goes in the ear gates and the eye gates doesn't matter,
absolutely
it is so important. Okay. I can remember being a teenager, bound up, demonically bound up, listening to Black Sabbath and self-harming. As a result of the demonic heaviness, and so forth. So it goes back to that, you've got to combat those old things and you've got to replace it with the good. And so anytime that you're being triggered, you've got something to go to. So I love that you call it my 12-step playlist. That is just like brilliant. You need to get that. I know you're doing it right now in the jails, but you need to get it outside, get it formatted and so forth. And so, because it's something that she can use in her counseling practice.
Yeah,
so
and that's fully intended.
Yeah, I am so excited for that and so forth. So, oh my goodness, we could go on for hours. We could probably go on for days.
I know.
Talking about all the God things and all of the things that's happened. But for those of you that logged in late, this is Darla, and Darla has given us some insight. So I want you to go back and watch this on the replay. I want you to hit #replay if you're watching this on the replay. If you're watching us for the first time, hit #first time. We want to reach out to you. I want to make sure that they get resources in their hands of how to contact you. So after the broadcast later today, we'll go back and we'll put web links and so forth, location where you can go and donate. If you were in the Murfreesboro area, help to populate inventory in this thrift shop.
Right.
Because that's what thrift shops operate off of that. Yeah. And it is a 501c3, so you can get a tax break on it and help this ministry build up. Because, again, they're new in Murfreesboro. They came in 2018, and the thrift shop is like brand new.
Yeah,
I know.
February.
Yeah, like brand new. Like
God gave us a new. We were in this small little side section of the building, and this other place just opened up. It's massive. And so I looked at it and I'm like, God, what are you going to do with this? And he says, well, I'm gonna take care of it. And so I talked to my husband. It's like, well, let's put a thrift store in there. And I'm like, yes,
absolutely.
That's it. So
lots of ministry greenhouses done that successfully for years, and
yeah.
it's helped to stimulate some income for
so
what
we
they're
also
doing.
What we also do is we have a lot of we've partnered with Rutherford County Drug Court, Rutherford County Probation. So we have a lot of wonderful people who come in and do community service hours.
That's awesome.
You know, probation, all those things. So God bless.
I love that you're giving an opportunity for people to get those hours in.
And we also have 2 people that we've hired on from drug court because we believe in them.
Drug court is important to you because you're a graduate of drug court, right?
I am.
So, okay, so let me ask you, and the reason I'm asking her this question is because everybody watching this broadcast has been touched by addiction in some form or fashion. And there's some controversy on whether or not people can get help. And if it's long-lived, and I know your transformation with Jesus is what has allowed you to walk out your sobriety, but was drug court forced on you? Was it something you're like, hey, put me in drug court? Or was it like, you're going to drug court?
No, so I had a choice of doing 3 years in New Jersey State Prison or go to drug court. And so I had a taste of what like a treatment center was like. When I was first incarcerated, they had a program called Delaney Hall in Essex County, New Jersey. And so I had signed up to go there. I was there a week and I loved it. It was fantastic because it was programming. I had never had any type of counseling as a kid. I'd never had any type of counseling for what I went through with my dad, what I went through, the trauma and everything behind all that stuff. And so I loved it. So they jerked me out of that after a week because they had a warrant. You can't have warrants there. And so they sent me back to Essex County Jail, which is the bowels of hell. I mean, literally. So I had a taste of that. But so I knew that I wanted to go into a drug court program or a drug program. And that has when it first literally almost really came out was drug court had just come out. And I'm like, I want that. And so thank God I did. Drug court saved my life because it gave me accountability.
Yes, it's needed.
Yeah, it gave me accountability. I had to go to meetings, which helped me because there was other people that I found who had the same situation as I did. You're not alone in this. So all those things, it gave me people that I could count on to help me walk through this.
The accountability is the biggest piece to that. So if you're watching this broadcast and you know someone that's bound up with addictions, don't think for 1 minute that God is not going to redeem that at some point in their life. Everybody has a different bottom. Everybody has a different place to where they're like, okay, I'll do this. And forced treatment is still treatment.
Of course.
And so, that encourages me because I have people in my life that I am standing and waiting for God to, intervene and, for them to finally say, okay, enough is enough. So if you are watching this broadcast and you have a loved one, you are looking at a drug court graduate.
Yeah.
Someone whose life was shambled, grew up in an alcoholic home, went to jail. I had a husband who dealt with addictions for years, stood for his salvation, and prayed him in.
There's power in prayer, let me tell you.
Yes, prayed him into the kingdom. And now they have a 501c3 where they are informing the youth of the U.S. of the dangers of all of these open doors that they do in life. And it's very, that's so, I'm so passionate about that. That is just like, we are like two sisters from another mister or something, because we have the same heart to see people set free. Yeah. So if you want to know more about what they're doing at Steer Straight here in Murfreesboro, make sure you take your donations over to help populate the thrift store. Make sure that if you are looking for a good seed to sow into, it's a great tax write-off and it's an opportunity to sow into the lives of some of these schools that do not have the grants, they do not have the funds to bring people in. Let's face it, the gospel is free, but the avenue of getting people the word or getting people encouragement is not. Right. And people don't understand it, because we're a 501c3 too. Yeah. And people are like, well, what do you need money for? I'm like, Jesus is free. And it's like, do you understand the expenses involved in trying to do the things to help people's lives? A lot of people do not have the revenue. And so pro bono help, it has to come in, and we have to have that sponsor somewhere. So please put them on your list, your prayer list. Pray for them.
Please, I need that.
Pray for them. And they're fairly new. And if you are looking for someone to come and speak, Darla is available for that. I know you were on TV.
Yeah.
This is my little talk show online, but you were on like News 5, which kind of ranks up there above my Keys to Your Best Life. But I'm sure that mine was more fun.
Oh, of course.
So you were on News 5 just not too long ago, I see.
Yeah, last month. Last month.
Yeah, last month.
That was pretty cool. The lady there loved us. She's like, I want to have you back. She's like, we could talk for hours.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Well, there's so much good stuff, and we just gave you a little snippet of it. So I want to encourage you guys, you are not alone. If you're standing for someone's salvation, you're standing for someone's freedom. Darla here is living proof. I'm living proof, okay? And if you woke up today, God's got a plan for you.
Yeah,
and for the ones that you love. So, Darla, I appreciate it. I just want to, before we close out the broadcast, because I know in 25 minutes I'm going to interview Kevin Foles.
Right.
Kevin goes as Jesus freak, and I was on a committee with him for Recovery Fest last year. Right. I can promise you he lives up to that name. But before we get off here, I always like to leave our audience with a key. And you and I were talking about fear, and the whole thing going on with the coronavirus, and their ministry, their 501c3 is because they kind of go in incognito.
Mm-hmm.
They go in there because if you come to the schools, I want to talk to your kids about freedom and Jesus, they're going to be like,
we sneak out in there.
Yeah, they just kind of like with my forward program. I have my forward faith-based program, and then I have my forward that does not use freedom. So. And I slide it in there. So revenue is important for anybody to operate a 501c3. And there's threats out there with the coronavirus. So schools are shutting down. So I want you guys specifically to pray for Darla. But Darla, what would you say to those people that are experiencing fear right now? Fear is huge. Okay.
So Zach Williams has got a song. You should check it out. It's called Fear is a Liar. Fear will take you out like nothing else. Fear is of the devil. There's a spirit of fear that's coming across this country that wants to make everyone feel very anxious and very scared about the situation. Listen to what the truth of God has for you, and don't listen to anything else. Stop watching the TV, because that's just awful.
Yeah.
All they want to do is create a spirit of fear that a 40-year-old person is going to get the coronavirus who's as healthy as a horse. That's not true. Right. So listen to what God tells you, and not what everybody else is telling you about this, because what God's truth is, that's what it is. Amen. So fear is a liar. Don't feed into it. Don't let your family feed into it. Just go on what God's truth is. God is in control. God has been in control of this country for a long time. He is in control, and that's what I hold to.
Yeah. And we'll just close with the scripture that God has not given you a spirit of fear, but a power, a love, and a sound mind. Mm-hmm. So this is Maggie with Keys to Your Best Life. I don't have my little music intro and outro today. I apologize, because I'm actually not in my little studio at home. I am at the Gap. So with that being said, Darla, thank you so much. Y'all check my girl out. We'll see you later. Bye.